please stand and we'll do the Gayatri Mantra. Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us meditate on the glorious effulgence of that Supreme Being who created the universe. May she enlighten our hearts and direct our understanding. Please be seated. Hi everyone. So just carrying on from what we were discussing last week. So, we were looking at the sort of idea of science and religion and looking at the sort of tussle between the realms of science and the realm of religion. And actually, if you think about it, when you look at the Indian subcontinent, India has, for so many centuries and so many millennia, it's been known as the land of thinkers, the land of philosophers. It's known as the land of spirituality. And you may wonder, why is that the case? Why is India known as the land of spirituality? And you may be surprised to hear that one of the reasons is down basically to the climate. The climate of the Indian subcontinent has for centuries and for millennia been very, very temperate, warm conditions. The land there has been very fertile. It was very easy then to get fresh, clean water and easy to access resources. So the people who settled on the Indian subcontinent were actually very lucky because every single day it wasn't a battle for survival. Where can I get my next food? Where can I get water? Where can I get shelter? It was very easy to access all of these things on the Indian subcontinent. Compared to other parts of the world, for example, if you look to Europe and North America, for example, the temperature and the climate was very, very different. They had to sort of battle winds and rain and snowstorms, and resources were few and far between. So every single day, the human beings who settled in those kind of colder climates had to really battle for survival every single day. And that meant that all of their energies, all of their attention was directed to the external world around them. And the only way that they could survive was by saying, let us try and harness nature external. And that's a very different picture to what happened on the Indian subcontinent, because as we said, it wasn't a battle for survival, it wasn't a struggle to get all the basic human necessities. So that actually meant that they were able to focus on nature internal. They had the luxury of not having to look outwards, they had the luxury to look inwards. And that meant, for example, in the Western way of thinking, the way that you measure success is by how much material you possess, how many material possessions you have. Whereas if you look to the East, actually what the measure of your success was, how little can you do without? There's no need for you to have all these material possessions when the climate is so warm and temperate. So it's two very different perspectives. One is harnessing nature external, and one is harnessing nature internal. And actually, if you think about it, some of the ideas, some of the spiritual ideas which have stemmed from the Indian subcontinent have been absolutely marvelous, have been absolutely beautiful, but so many people are yet unaware of the depth of the spiritual philosophy of the Indian subcontinent. Some of the sort of ideas of ancient times, ancient civilizations was that there is a God, an external personality called a God, and at his will, he was able to create this universe out of nothing. Out of something, out of nothing came something. And this idea never really sat very well with the Hindu mind because philosophically it just doesn't make sense. How can something come out of nothing? Surely there must be something pre-existing in order for the universe to be built. If you want to build a house, surely you need pre-existing materials in order to build your house. If you want to build a boat, surely you need pre-existing materials and tools in order to build your boat. Out of nothing, how can something arise? So that idea never sat very well in the Hindu mind, and we said that there must be something out of which this universe has been manufactured. And actually, all the sort of world religions, all the philosophies of the world, all the scientists of the world are all sort of humming around this kind of question. What is the something out of which this universe has been manufactured? And the idea, the concept, which arose in the Hindu mind through this journey of introspection and meditation, was what we were talking about last week. This idea that the whole of this universe, the underpinning to the entirety of this universe, is something non-material. It's something which shows a tremendous interconnection between everything in the entirety of this universe. And we called it Brahman. And this idea of thinking of the underpinning to this universe as a principle, rather than there being a personality called God, is much more philosophically sound. Because when you have a God as a person, for example, we try and throw lots of qualities on that God. We say that this God is all loving, this God is all compassionate, this God is all powerful. But then there seems to be a tremendous contradiction in terms, because when we look at the state of the world, we look at the state of everything that's around us, we find a tremendous contradiction, because there is such tremendous suffering going on, not just in the human kingdom, but also in the animal kingdom and the entire living kingdom. So how does your God as a personality explain that? If he is all loving, all compassionate and all powerful, either he's not all compassionate and all loving. Is he a cruel God? Why is he making us all suffer for no reason? Or does it mean that perhaps he's not as powerful as we are all making up? Perhaps there's nothing he can do about the suffering of the entire living kingdom. So this idea of thinking of God as a personality comes with a lot of philosophical difficulties. But when we think of everything as being a manifestation of spirit, this Brahman that we were talking about, it seems to fit more philosophically, because we say, look, this is the nature of the universe. This is how the cookie crumbles. There is no personality called God who we can blame for the suffering of this universe. This is just how things are, and we have to try and make sense of it. So that's actually something that was, when you think about it, the whole underpinning to the universe is non-material. And when you present this to the science community, when you look at the classical scientists of a few hundred years ago, they would scoff at this idea. How can the underpinning of the universe be non-material? It sounds completely airy-fairy. It sounds like a complete daydream. How is it possible that the underpinning is non-material? Look, we've got these atoms, hard, solid material, which is the foundation to this universe. This universe is made of not necessarily big versions of sticks and stones, but smaller versions of sticks and stones. And if you can't measure something physically, that means it's not real. So this idea of thinking of the underpinning to everything as being non-material sounds like nonsense. It sounds like daydreaming. That was the thinking. The science community had become quite sort of arrogant in its approach, saying that we know everything, we have solved all the problems of the universe. But actually, in the 1920s, the science community received a tremendous shockwave in the form of something called quantum. And with quantum, which was a discovery by Albert Einstein, Niels Bohr, and Werner Heisenberg, we find something absolutely incredible, because we find that actually when you go beyond the atomic levels, the subatomic level, you find that actually matter disappears. Matter no longer matters at the subatomic level, and you find that everything is deeply interconnected. At the subatomic level, you no longer deal with things, you deal with interconnections. And all the things that we are learning in school in physics at the moment, all of those rules, in a way, fly out the window when you look at quantum. For example, if you squeeze a particle over here, a particle a million miles away will feel the same squeeze instantaneously. How do you explain that? It completely defies the rules of space and time that we all learn about at school. It just doesn't make sense. For example, another strange thing that happens in the world of quantum is that particles will behave differently in the presence of a conscious observer and when there isn't a conscious observer. And that goes completely against what we're learning at school. For example, there's a ball and it drops from a height. It's going to drop from a height whether somebody watches it or not. But not in the world of quantum. Particles behave differently, whether there is a conscious observer watching or whether there isn't a conscious observer watching. And this idea has completely rocked the science community. And actually this discovery broke Einstein's heart. And they tried many times to run this idea off the ground. They said, let's try and disprove this, let's disprove it, because it goes against everything that we love. We love the world of matter. Everything has to be solid and material. And we don't like that the foundation to everything is non-material. So this is the thing, is that physics is currently stuck in a bit of a rut. It's the nature of science to keep flowing and progressing and developing new theories and new understanding of the universe. But currently, for the last 100 years or so, physics has been stuck in its own materialistic box. And there is a need for scientists to take that leap into the non-material, to say, you know what? This is actually what we are searching for. This is the answer to everything that we are looking for. Another sort of grey area of science, which is unanswerable in the realm of matter, is this thing called consciousness. Through biology, we all know that, for example, we know how we all see things is because light goes through the lens and the retina, and a message is sent to our brain, and we say, oh yes, I can see a tree, I can see a house. And then same with sound waves. Sound waves come into our ear and we hear various things, and it goes to our brain and we're like, yes, I can hear the music. And there's different parts of the brain responsible for all of those things. We know that, that's what we will learn in biology. But the thing that is unanswerable in the realm of matter is, who or what is the conscious thing which is saying, hi, I'm here, I can see the image that is being presented to me, I can hear the music that is over there, I can hear all of those things, I can see all of these things. Who is that I? Who is that conscious being inside who is receiving all of these sensory messages from the world outside? Who or what is that thing? Surely there is something inside us to say, hi, I am here, I am receiving all of these messages. And that's the conscious observer. And when you ask a neuroscientist, what part of the brain is responsible for this conscious observer, the person who is saying, hi, I'm here and I'm the one experiencing all of these things? Actually, there is no part of the brain which is responsible for that consciousness, which is absolutely incredible, because all of us intuitively know what consciousness is. We all say, yes, I'm a conscious being, I'm aware of my surroundings, but it's very, very difficult to encapsulate in words, and even more difficult to find a part of the brain which is responsible for it. So perhaps there is a need for the neuroscientists, for the biologists, to also take a step out of their materialistic box to say, you know what, perhaps the answer lies in the realm of the non-material. So all of these things are there. And science is continuing to progress, and what it's ultimately doing, what we said last week, is it's searching for unity in diversity. We said that it's all about putting things into boxes until we reach a universal understanding of this universe. But actually, what we find is that we are currently stuck, and we are not able to find that unity unless we take that leap into the realm of the metaphysical. But going completely to the other end of the spectrum, we've talked about science and the kind of challenges it's facing at the moment. Let's talk about some of the success stories we get through Hinduism, through religion. Because religion is also trying to find unity in diversity, and we said, yes, the underpinning to everything is Brahman, but it's a very difficult thing for us to understand. And this is why we've produced so many hundreds and thousands of gods and goddesses in Hinduism to help us get our mind around this extremely subtle concept. Because once we turn this impersonal principle called Brahman into a personality like Ram or Krishna or Shiva or Mother Goddess, it makes so much more sense to us, because we can build a very human relationship with that form of God. We can say, I can see God as my friend, I can see God as my mother or my father or even my child. And what we do is we focus all of our energies and attention on that particular form of God that we love. And you think, how is that it doesn't make any sort of reconciliation with what science is all about. But actually what we find is that there is a tremendous reconciliation. Suppose you love this particular image of God and you think about them day and night, and you're lucky enough to catch a vision, catch a glimpse of God in this particular way. And in Hinduism, throughout the centuries, we've got hundreds of examples of saints who have claimed vision of God. We've got Mirabai, Tulsidas, Tukaram, Narsi Mehta, all of these incredible individuals who said, I have seen God. And what we find is that, yes, they have a tremendous vision of Krishna, for example, or Ram. And what you say is, what is the conclusion of your love? You love this form of God so much. What is the conclusion of that journey? Yes, God is here and I am here. What is the conclusion of that love? The conclusion of that love is saying, you know what? I am no longer able to tell myself apart from my object of my desire. I love God so much. The boundary between us is broken, and I see myself as reflected in the image of that God. So we find actually, through this searching for a God who is an external being, we find that actually God is internal, God is inside us, through developing a tremendous love for that God, tremendous unity in the diversity that we see. And some of you may have seen, for example, there's an image of Hanuman. Hanuman is obviously a tremendous devotee of Ram. He loved Ram with all his heart. He would do anything and everything for Ram. And there's a beautiful image of Hanuman which shows a tremendous reconciliation between seeing God as an external being and seeing God as yourself. There is an image of Hanuman where he has his heart open, and in his heart there is an image of Ram. And that's a tremendous reconciliation, because it sounds like, how can God be inside and outside? But that's exactly what it is, because you love that form of God so much, there is no longer any boundary between you. You see yourself as spirit, you see yourself as God. You've reached that state of perfect unity. And that's what it's like, essentially what science is trying to do, but is struggling at the moment to let go of its materialistic paradigm. It's also looking for this unity. But through this realm of religion and spirituality, we have tremendous individuals who have actually found that unity, who have found the underpinning, found out who they actually truly are. So the thing that we now see as the universe will actually appear to us as God. And the God who for so long was external to us will now appear to be internal as our true selves. So you can see actually how science and religion, they are actually trying to reach the same goal. And in a way, religion isn't necessarily stuck in a materialistic rut. So it's possible for people like Narsi Mehta, Mirabai, Tulsidas to achieve that unity. Whereas the realm of science has still got a bit of a way to go. And let's see what the next century brings, and let's see if science is able to progress towards the same destination. It's an exciting time.
Scientific theory of the God particle, do you think that would be the closest equation to ground that science has found so far?
Possibly, yes. No, that's a really good question. So, yes, they call it a God particle, and in a way, sometimes what science has done is they say God is the God of the gaps. So, science has got most of the answers, and, there's a few bits that we don't know, and we just kind of fill God into those gaps. But actually, what science is doing as it continues its progress on its journey is actually, we find that the bricks are, in a way, flying in midair. And actually, there is a lot that we are unaware of, a lot that we don't know in the realm of science. We think that we've kind of solved most of it, and there are a few bits here and there. But the more we explore, we find that actually there is a lot that we are not aware of, and a lot that we don't know. So that's it. Yes?
I was wondering about karma. So if an individual were to experience a horrendous incident, like, say, a car crash or a relative dying, would karma argue that the individual deserves it because of past sins, or not?
That's a really good question, and it's a question that's puzzled a lot of people about the law of karma, for sure, because you see somebody who's gone through a very difficult, very traumatic experience, you see somebody who's going through a lot of suffering. It's very easy, if you believe in the law of karma, to jump to the conclusion that surely that person must have done something bad in their past life. They must have done something to deserve this suffering. But actually what we have to realize is that the law of karma is incredibly complex, far more complex than we can imagine. It's not just a case of a simple linear equation. Here I am, I do something good, here is the result for it. It's never that straightforward. And the reason why it's never that straightforward is because the universe is incredibly complex. It's not just you putting things into action. There are hundreds and thousands of other people, other factors involved in entirely all of the things that happen to you. So, for example, if there's a tsunami or there's an earthquake, does that mean that all of those people have done something awful in their past lives? Of course not. This is unfortunately the way the universe is. This is how the cookie crumbles. It's not just what you put into action which produces results. All the actions of other people, all the factors of the environment, all sorts of things are involved in the results of all of the things that we experience. And it's very easy for us to say, oh, I deserve it. I deserve to go through all this suffering. I'm going to sit in a corner and cry about it. It's very, very easy to have that kind of attitude, but that's because we haven't understood the full complexity of the law of karma. What we say is, look, it's not necessarily my fault. I'm not here to speculate what I have and haven't done, good or bad, whatever. Here I am in this situation. I am in this difficult position right now. What am I going to do about it now? Let's focus on the present and say, let me roll up my sleeves rather than sitting and crying about it in a corner. Let me roll up my sleeves and do something about it. And you are generating good karma for yourself in the process. So rather than sitting and speculating, what have I done? What have I not done? Forget about all that, because it's so much more complex than our minds can even register with. Let's just say, look, I'm here. And for example, if lots of good things happen to me, perhaps it's also not just what I've done. I might have done good things, but it also could be a lucky coincidence. Similarly, if something bad happens to me, it's possible that it's a lot of environmental and other factors involved in what's happening to me, and it's not necessarily my fault. I don't know what it could be in a past life or whatever. All I know is I'm here, and I need to do the best I can to come out of this situation stronger. I think that's a more sort of positive way of looking at the law of karma. So thank you. Yes.
Do you think Hindus and Buddhists can have already in science?
I mean, we are Hindus, so obviously, that's the religion that I know the most of. So from what I have understood of Hinduism and what I've learned from my dad, who was the Hindu tutor here before, it does seem to be a tremendous synergy between Hinduism and science. And I'm not here to say anything about other religions at all, because I don't know enough about other religions. But what I've learned about Hinduism shows a tremendous synergy, especially because of the principle-oriented aspect of it. So yeah, tremendous synergy there. But yeah, no, that's great. Thank you. Great. Brilliant. So thank you so much. You've asked some really great questions. Thank you.
Free e-learning course in Hinduism. To register, please visit www.hindu-academy.com.
Talks on Hinduism. Sponsored by People Care. Encouraging caring for the elderly in their own homes. For more information, please visit peoplecare.com.